So sometimes it's real hard to get started. But let me prime up real quick, y'all, because I feel that there's so much going on in the world that we have to ask, what happened since the MLK Jr. movement? Like, what happened? I saw a documentary with him around Black History Month, and the things that they did to band together, and how even if they probably had disagreements and things like that behind closed doors, you always saw a united front once they came out and they dropped whatever they had to drop. And there was less pride in this world. You couldn't be prideful when you were trying to not die from being sprayed by a water hose, from being hit over the head with any and everything the police wanted to hit you with. Like, it was a different type of world back then. And with all these freedoms came a prideful, boastful, haughty generation, seeking, self-seeking, not willing to do things in unity and strength and in love. And every little thing is a problem with someone else. The rejection issues are at an all-time high. And it's not like I'm not in a generation that comes from, like, the people who were in the MLK generation, like my parents are those parents, right? And so I feel that they wanted so much so to give us this grandiose, better life that some of us, of course, had started doing that to our own children, the children born in the mid-90s, early 2000s and such, right? We start having kids young, and we're in this free and great, society that we're feeling is all for us. Who could be against us? Let's just, everything's for the gram now. I mean, it just turned into way too much. And so we're not even talking about just from the black side, but just from that era of time and the conservativeness and the things that were done in the dark. Me, the other grandmommy, and my daughter-in-law were all talking today at breakfast about the fact that what was dark used to be a secret society, used to be underneath. Because I'll meet people and they'll say, we've been doing this for years. Y'all were waiting on everybody else to catch up. And I'm talking about people who lived in the LGBT community. They didn't even have alphabets for it back then. They just literally had a community that would operate a certain way. And the craziest thing is they didn't need letters, is because whatever people freely wanted to do, that's what they did. That's how all the letters came up, is because the people who could identify themselves, LGBTQ, no, take off the Q, LGBT, because that's what it started as. They were like, we know who we are. We are either this. Then the people that were like, no, I might be something else. Then queer came in there. And they were like, well, I might be bi one day, gay one day, straight one day, so I'm queer. Because that's basically what queer is. And so then there came up all these other ones afterward, because it's a never-ending circle. The enemy is always going to have you misidentifying yourself and not knowing who you are, because your true identity can only be found in Christ Jesus. That's the first thing. So these people would talk about, that I would come across, would talk about that it basically was a secret society, hush hush, because everybody had to have on the conservative front, they had to have on the professional front, they had to have on this, and it was very, very, very discreet with whom the darkness could be done with, the dungeons and the handcuffing to the Andrew's cross, and all of that kind of crazy stuff was only done with people you could truly trust, and that they weren't going to say anything, or so they thought, right? And so for years it was we got to keep this under the radar. But when all these bills start being passed for LGBTQ and everybody else, right, it really opened a door and a portal and a freedom in this country that they thought was a freedom. No, it was inviting several other ancient demons, gods, whatever, into our communities. If they weren't already there, they are now in full effect. Okay? You can look at this particular rendition of what is happening through a book called Return of the Gods by Jonathan Cahn. When I tell you, it's amazing. Jonathan, regular spelling, no, let me spell it for you. Jonathan, Jonathan, Johnn, Cahn, Cahn, Return of the Gods, lowercase g. The print ended up making it a big G, but don't worry about that. So anyway, when the people came in and started doing stuff outwardly, there's been videos of like congressmen getting done in the Oval Office and all type of craziness, like by their gay lovers and stuff. Like, it is like outwardly tumultuous to watch, like outwardly. And what prompted this video was the fact that I went to my grandchild's first doctor's visit, and we get to the pediatrician's office, and on the form, we're in California, and La Mesa, to be specific, so we're at La Mesa Peds, and there is a place on the form that asks for your child's sexuality, not identity. Well, they asked for identity, male or female, which I'm surprised they didn't say more than that. But the sexuality portion is the next portion. So, first of all, the sexuality is what the enemy is using to then make people's identity become trash. Like, so they don't understand who they are. But he can't get there without going through sexuality, because the enemy perverts everything. He perverts everything that God does, and he's just perversion, period. And the quickest way to pervert human flesh, this flesh is deceptive, it's evil. And the first thing it wants to do is sin against the body. The only sin that we do against the body is a sexual sin. So that's why he uses it. So let's confuse that, and then we'll get where we need to get. So, you asking me what a 4-day-old child should be? I know the form was probably technically made for the higher teenagers, like 13 to 17, but they got to put it on the form. I don't care. It makes people who aren't in God question their child's sexuality. Like, now they got to start watching for it. Or, how about this? They're gay themselves. So how about they go ahead and already open the door to the enemy and put that their child is bi on there? Like, what if that happens? Like, what if they just go ahead and put their child as gay? Like, they're speaking this over their child's life at a very early age. And I'm just trying to understand, what do we need to do to get more people who will not back down? Who cares if they found out anything about your past? Own it. Stand up on it. Stand on business. And let the Lord fight your battles. But stand up for justice and stand up for righteousness. In this country that is supposed to be one nation under God. And then somebody's like, well, you go do it. I'm trying to figure out if you can try to get something popping at 40-some years old, but like, really, I'm a voice and a mouthpiece. I will speak up religiously. I will speak up as an evangelist, so invite me to whatever rally. But what I can't do in my mind is go all the way into politics. I will be the evangelistic voice for someone's political campaign, however.